know I got to lean in.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Lean. I am here with Danny and Sammy. We're here to talk about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Episode 11, titled I Smell a
All
Rat.
right.
Episode too many.
Then we get into the end. We got the finale. No, sorry, we got the reunion being filmed this Thursday, tomorrow. So, I mean, one thing I can't say about Jersey, they storylines drag out, but they seasons don't because they be in and they be out. But what's going on, Sammy? Welcome back. Danny, I like this little shirt right here, Chaz. Is that what they call it? Houndstooth? What is it? Is this called?
Houndstooth, I think.
Whatever thing. It's cute.
It's Sheen Tooth.
I like it. How you doing, Sammy?
I'm doing good. I feel like I ain't been here forever.
Call off 1 week and
you don't have time for us, child. At this rate, I don't know who got PTO. Antonio been in Thailand. Everybody been gone. I just don't know.
I'm here now.
I know, that's right. Shout out to everybody that's watching right now. So April Morgan was here earlier checking in. I see a couple people coming in, so I'm sure y'all will still come in. Let us know if you're watching right now, where you're calling from, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. And of course, as I always say, hit that like button to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Keep us in the algorithm. We got summer is approaching, so that means Beverly Hills, Atlanta. Beverly Hills may actually be a fall winter show this year, I think, actually, because they started later. So
spring, summer.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting. I don't know what the summer will behold for the league. We'll be here, but I don't know what we're gonna be talking about.
Oh, a break.
Out of our usual summer shows. Listen, I don't mind. I want to be outside.
Are we gonna review the new Summer House Martha's Vineyard with the black cast?
If we can get some people forward, but I won't be on it.
Me and Sammy will.
Okay, listen. Hey, look at Sammy like, how you doing? What's going on, Kevin? Like I said, anyone else in the chat, let us know you in here. All right, y'all, let's get into this episode. The episode, to me, I mean, just like the others, same drama, same conversation. And my notes were not as long as they usually for other shows. And I think because we're talking about the same thing. Now, we do see a little bit more of, Danielle obviously has been very much so involved all season. But now we're seeing her, it kind of go more into, it was starting with her and Rachel, which I really wanted to see them kind of duke it out. But Marge is also involved in making herself more involved too. So we'll talk about it. They're in Ireland. The last episode. Oh, what's going on? MJ watching from okay, VA. Is that Virginia? Am I off?
It ain't vagina.
I don't know, child. MJ, you watching from vagina? No, I'm just saying. But yeah, so they are in Ireland still. The last episode was, I guess, a part of Teresa's bachelorette party or whatever. So they're still sitting down having drinks. And the episode continues where it left off last week. They're drinking, having a good time. All the girls having a good time. Honestly, I've never been to Ireland, but I feel like watching this scene, I thought they were in Nashville. I don't know. It just seemed very
the store, yeah.
It just looked kind of regular.
Local.
Yeah, it looked very local. But like I said, I've never been to Ireland, so I'll shut my un-Ireland ass up. But the next morning, all the girls are together and they're talking. Melissa is talking about how scared she is of the house and how she can't sleep. Marge has a shirt with endorsed on it. I guess she's taking a shot, a little dig at Jen. Kudos to her for that, I guess, or whatever. And basically, everyone is kind of talking about how Rachel and Danielle seem to be okay. I guess based off of where they left off before the Bachelorette, they were just talking about how they were talking, at the Bachelorette, having a good time. You would never think anything was wrong with them. But Melissa was like, yeah, they were having a good time, but I just can't get over the fact that, Danielle definitely called her a shit starter and was coming at her. Melissa's trying to stir the mess up again, get the mess back going. So whatever, cool, do what you got to do, Melissa. She said, listen, y'all ain't finna count her out. She gonna create her own drama or something. I don't know. And she basically tells the girls that she called, this is that morning at the breakfast table, that she called her a rat. Now, last week we talked about this kind of, basically saying like we know in Jersey, if you watch Mob Wives, that calling somebody a rat is like severe, and that's kind of what Dolores speaks about in her confessional. And so Jen is like, well, she kind of was, acting like a rat. Jen is completely team Teresa and team Danielle. It don't matter what they do. Jen is going to just say, yeah, I agree because blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, that's where she stands because obviously the other girls are doing the same thing with Marge. They just kind of blindly support her too. And so Rachel, when she hears this, she is like flabbergasted. She's blindsided. She feels like, whoa, she called me a rat. Why would she call me a rat? And then she was kind of going on and on about how, Danielle is the one that was going around talking and running her mouth, that she's the rat. And I'm like, well, honestly, Rachel, if you define a rat in that way, then you kind of were a rat too, because you going around talking to everybody too. So all of y'all have been coffee talking, as Danielle likes to describe it.
Conversating.
Or coffee talking and conversating, which Marge lets her know again that is not a word. But Danielle, at this rate, I hope she makes some shirts for BravoCon that says conversating. All right, so Rachel actually confronts Danielle because Danielle comes to the table, and this is what she says. She was conversating, she was coffee talking, but as they're kind of going back and forth, Marge confronts Danielle, and even Dolores is like, can y'all just let her speak? Like, let her speak. And Danielle's like, you don't know what coffee talking is? And Marge is like, I know what coffee talking is. I actually hollered because she was like, I know what coffee talking is. Marge talks about how she, supported Danielle. She supported her logo, her brand, the whole bougie clothes thing, and how she don't understand why she would be coming at her in such a way. And Marge asks her, do you think that I have an arsenal? And Danielle's like, yeah, I kind of do. I mean, do I think things on people? Yes. But she says that, she says that she didn't treat her differently after finding out the information. She feels like she is well in her right to, I guess, be guarded based off the things that she knows. She brings up things from last year, the whole Teresa thing. And obviously she wasn't there, but I mean, like the others, they watched the show and things like that. So what are y'all thoughts on this whole thing, between now Danielle and Marge? Because I would much rather see Danielle and Rachel kind of go at it, being the new girls. I love seeing the new girls. I feel like Portia and Kenya got me like ready for things like that because they set it off. And I feel like when it's fresh energy, you just don't know what you're gonna get. But what are y'all thoughts in this whole back and forth between Marge and the Danielle, Rachel's involvement, and how Danielle is bringing up last year, and all that? I'll start with you, Sammy.
So I will say one thing I will have to give to Rachel is when it comes to the whole rat conversation, Danielle did bring it back to Marge, saying, Teresa and Jen kind of said these things about you, which I don't think she should have. But I mean, I guess it keeps the story going. It starts conversation. So, okay. But I will also agree with Danielle because the way Rachel took it back to Marge was just like she said, to make Danielle look like she was bad mouthing her. In regards to them speaking on things that happened last year, Marge is now defensive about it, saying that Danielle wasn't there. She doesn't know. However, earlier in the season, when Rachel was trying to have her back with Jennifer in regards to what happened last season, she was okay with it. So it can't go both ways when it comes to that. I do think that Rachel is getting lucky. Like every time she does almost get into something, Marge comes in and kind of saves her, kind of has her back. And it's like as soon as she starts getting in there, I can't get a feel for her. Like as of right now, I'm just like, she's cool, but I can't really get a feel for her because every time she goes in, here comes loudmouth ass Marge to her defense. So Danielle can't even really kind of speak her piece or defend herself because it always becomes Marge instead of Rachel, and that's becoming annoying.
I agree, Sammy. I said it the first time that Marge confronted Danielle, about what she said. Rachel was very rah-rah with it. And then when Marge walked away, Rachel was like, are we good? Are we okay?
Yeah.
It's like whenever Marge is there, she knows she can buck up because Marge is going to eventually take over. But when she's alone with Danielle, she don't have that energy. So I definitely, I guess I can give Rachel a little props that she's not backing down from what she's saying. She is standing in what she said, and she's saying, whatever, even if I don't agree with it, with how she presented it. But I really would love her to just stay out, Marge to stay out of it. I want to see Danielle and Rachel just go at it, without anybody jumping
Because
in.
I feel like it would be interesting. I will say, I don't really care for Rachel like that, but I do see that she has the potential to be that person that can go back and forth, in a sense, at least with Danielle. Maybe not with Jen, maybe not with another girl, but with Danielle, I feel like they could go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, I do agree. She gets kind of saved every time by.
But this is why I can't give her like the benefit of the doubt now, because I feel like she has become now she's knowledgeable of, I'm gonna get into it with Danielle, but Marge is gonna come in, because if you notice when Teresa says something to her or when Jen says something to her, she don't even try to take it there. But when it comes to Danielle, she's quick to pop up the mouth and to kind of show like I'm here too, and y'all don't scare me. She don't have that for the other girls, though. But for some reason with Danielle, and I think that's because she knows that Marge is on Danielle's ass as well, so she's comfortable with going at Danielle because she knows she got backup on the way if she needed.
Especially Teresa, because you can tell like that Marge really don't want to argue with Teresa no more either. She don't care for her. She takes digs at her in the confessionals, but on the actual show, they're really not arguing.
And that's something else where I'm like the whole endorse her. Like Marge is being very passive aggressive in her bullshit. Like I'm used to her being, if she's gonna be a bitch, but it's the way she's moving as it's really like I'm just not liking it.
Yeah.
It's not Marge to me. It's very just I don't know. I'm not a fan of it this season.
Yeah. I also feel like Rachel goes at Danielle too, because like they're both new girls. And she's trying to show like out of the new girls, I'm the one that's gonna be left standing.
You think Rachel's trying to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, she has the numbers, but I mean, numbers don't really mean a lot because we value Jen and Teresa, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah, and Melissa has the numbers.
Because she got the numbers, but the girls on that side, the Jackie and Melissa, it ain't too many people that be like, "Ooh, we love them."
And Jackie barely holding on anyway.
Jackie is really a null. She's just there to get something to eat or something. I don't know what she's there for, child. But I do want to ask y'all a question real quick. So when she asked her about the whole Arsenal thing, Danielle says basically she does feel like she has an Arsenal, but what she's hinting at is the conversation that she had with Jen. Before this moment, I was like, okay, Danielle, I don't think she's easily persuaded, but the fact that because in this moment, she's made up her mind that this is true. Now, before that, I was like, okay, she has a mind of her own, but now I will say she is swaying, obviously, and she's chosen a side at this moment. And I just feel like, okay, if this is, I wish when she answered the question for the Arsenal thing, yes, that she would think more outside of just that, because there is more things that she could say. Oh yeah, you have an Arsenal. You did this, you did this, you did this. But using this as the one thing, because it's like she wants to spit it out, but she's kind of like, I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because she's trying to be loyal to Melissa, who really ain't loyal to her, but she don't know that yet. She'll find it out, I'm sure. But how y'all feel about her with that being the main Arsenal thing that she feels Marge has?
But is it the main thing, or is it just that? Was it just one thing on top of everything else already that she already knew and saw? I mean, it's not like that's her first time hearing something about Marge and taking it as a truth. She already knows the history. I mean, like you say, she's watched the show, so it's just one thing on top of, another. It's just another thing to add to the list.
And I think
it is believable.
Yeah, and I think they kind of struggle because they can't say, well, I watched it last season, I saw how it went down. They have to kind of go with what they know, like first.
Well, I mean, let's not act like Jen wasn't giving history lessons at the beginning of the season. Remember
that as well.
Jen wanted to make sure everybody knew. She went to Rachel, she went to Danielle, she went to everybody that would listen to talk about both new girls to talk about what happened last year, what happened between her and Marge. So Jen is the history teacher of.
But it's different because Jen was there.
But yeah, no, I know. Oh. I agree with what Stephen's saying. They can't say like, oh my God, we watched. They can't say.
Oh
that.
Yeah. But I also think that because of how the little party when they're out on the shore, how she watched Marge kind of lead the conversation regarding her brother and stuff. She probably doesn't more so think like an Arsenal thing, but she's seeing like Marge can be kind of a shady individual. So I think she's kind of using that as well. She's just not speaking those things. In her mind, the only thing that really is clicking her in regards to the Arsenal is the whole Melissa and
I
the
think the
lawyer.
whole thing with Melissa and Marge, I think that's all alleged. And I feel like she don't have any hardcore evidence to be using that. Everything else, she can't say she saw it, but she did see it. So we all know what she's talking about. But this is just he say, she say, to be honest. And I mean, you know, that's what I'm saying. But I get what both of y'all saying too. I definitely agree. This is kind of what they do. So well, just like Dolores, who ends the conversation by saying the same thing has been said 50 times. I agree. This has literally been Real Housewives of New Jersey for the last 3 seasons. The same thing, but just new girls talking about the same thing. So I agree. Dolores, move on.
That was her portion. What is woman? Y'all don't need some lip gloss. Y'all lips.
And very much so. Y'all talking about the same thing. Dolores is over. Dolores just want to have a good time in Ireland because she had a good time with her man in Ireland last time. So
she want to enjoy it in honor of Paulie.
Right. What's going on, Asia and Chase in the chat? Y'all see them in the chat saying to like this video. As they keep saying, shout out to Sean S2.
Hey, beautiful Asia.
Asia.
Who else has came up in here? I didn't even see. Megan Sue, DM Rocks. Okay. Let us know where y'all calling from, okay? So they leave that little breakfast or whatever it was. They get on the bus. And on the bus, there's a couple of conversations going on. They start the conversation with saying that basically with them being a bachelorette, they feel like Teresa should have definitely danced with this Irish guy, you know, have a good time because she's going to be with Louis forever. I would be having a good time too, because if I got to be with that forever, I got to get it out of my system. But hey, that's her love bubble, right? Then they start talking about how their husbands are like jealous. You know, I think Jackie kind of says it first. It was hard to really see who was talking at first, because I'll tell you, the comment that was the question that was asked early. I mean, later in on the bus, I actually thought it was by Jackie, but it was actually from Rachel. But we'll talk about that. So in the early conversation, they talk about how jealous the husbands are, and Jen Fessler talks about her marriage and how she has been down a road of not just being cheated on, but also cheating on her husband. And they separated, but how she's so grateful that they were able to stay together, right? Dolores talks about, you know, the situation with Frank and how she's glad that she got out of it. You know, basically she's happy that Jen Fessler could get through that, but unfortunately she was not able to, and she felt like she had to leave for the sake of her children and just her dignity and pride as a woman. So we was listening to all that. Marge talks about her own infidelity, because being the person that cheated on somebody, which I was like, okay, you know, the girls are getting honest, shawty, airing their own shit out. And then, you know,
Marge taking notes.
Right. Okay. And then Teresa talks about her experience, talks about how her relationship was with Joe, and how when she was done, and how Louis supports Joe and all these things. Basically, they're in a good place. But after all of this, and this is what I thought Jackie asked this question, because I had to go back and rewind it, but it was actually Rachel. And Rachel turns to Teresa and asks Teresa, well, you know, are all the kids close? And Teresa starts to ask. She said, well, we were, but Antonia. And Melissa's like, don't mention Antonia. Do not mention Antonia. Like, you're not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And Teresa kind of continues to go. And she says that basically that they were, but, you know, she didn't come to Melania's Sweet 16. And Melissa is just like, you know, she had a cheer competition. She couldn't make it. It was all the way in Philly or something like that. Yeah. And Teresa was like, well, girl, she could have came afterwards for an hour. And she was just like, and Melissa was like, no, she was in Philly. And you know, then Melissa brings up something about Gabriella and I making Gino's soccer game, and Teresa feels like it's tit for tat. So in this moment, you know, they kind of going back and forth, and Melissa's like, why bring up the kids? Like, leave the kids out of it. I'm not gonna be that aunt. I'm not gonna be the aunt that she's already been. I'm not gonna be that aunt where I bring up kids or anybody's kids, or especially our kids or whatever, because she feels like she just spoke to Antonia about not getting involved with anything like that. And so Teresa feels like she wants them to stay close, but Melissa says, well, if you want to stay close, you will put me in the wedding. And Teresa says, well, you know what? You don't reciprocate. I don't get the same energy from you. So until I get the energy, no, I basically, when I feel loved, I'll give it back to you. And that's how they end the conversation. What are y'all thoughts on this whole thing? Because Melissa is over it. Melissa just cannot believe that Teresa, she couldn't get the sentence out. All she said was Antonia. But I want to get y'all thoughts, and I'll ask y'all this question while y'all give y'all thoughts. Do y'all feel like Teresa was in the wrong, or was she wrong by any way of, like, was she trying to, you know, throw Antonia as the reason? I'll get y'all thoughts. I'll start with, go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
I don't think she was in the wrong, first of all. Teresa knows Antonia isn't the one who would transport herself there and stuff. Like, no, I mean, she wasn't in the wrong. She wasn't the one who brought up kids. Melissa keeps saying, leave the kids out of it. Well, say that to Rachel, who brought it up. Teresa didn't bring this. Teresa was answering a question. And I don't think she was blaming Antonia per se. Antonia was the one who's going to drive herself from the soccer, whatever it was, whatever competition they had, to the Sweet 16. No. It was definitely a dig at Melissa. And let's be clear, Melissa's talked about the Guidice girls before. Melissa's basically called them liars.
Yes, Teresa was trying to take a dig at Melissa, but it did come off as if she was blaming Antonia. So I can get why Melissa gave pause for that. However, Melissa's full of shit, because not only did she mention the Guidice girls on the podcast, and we saw what she said in the confessional, then let's think about back to the earlier seasons, like the christening episode, when her specific words were, I don't know what Gia was doing, but they could have pulled her out of that so she could have made it to her cousin's christening. Kind of basically the same thing Teresa was saying about Antonia. Then we have to go back to when the reunion, when Karen was still there, and Melissa was basically saying she was pulling Antonia out of the school with the Guidice girls because it was more of them and just one of Antonia, and she was afraid that they were going to jump on her. So you didn't talk about these girls in all type of ways. So Melissa, you have been that aunt, but because I don't think it's so people don't remember that. And then of course you have Teresa, who cannot think and articulate correctly, so you can play with her when it comes to that. But we watched these shows, Melissa. We saw how you've already badmouthed these girls. You're just really creative with the way you do your bullshit, and that's why so many people kind of look at as Teresa being the villain when it comes to certain things. But Melissa's everything that Melissa's fussing about in this moment, she's done 2, 3, 4, 5 times already. So I mean, what's the issue? What's the real issue? And then the whole, if you wanted to keep them close and be an example, you would have put them in the wedding. Did we not watch Teresa say, do you want to be in the wedding? And she said, no, I'm not going back. Shut the fuck up about the wedding, Melissa. Shut the fuck up about the wedding.
I am tired. I get it, but I am tired of hearing her. It don't matter if Teresa say anything, she'd be like, well, put me in the wedding. But it's just like, and we do know that it was very passive aggressive when she asked her to be in the wedding. But at this rate, you did say no. So I mean, sorry. I don't know what else to say. I'm tired of her holding this damn wedding over Teresa's head. Like, you're not in the wedding, and Teresa's made it very clear. First of all, it's her wedding. It is her wedding. It doesn't matter. It's nobody in this chat's wedding, nobody on the screen's wedding. It's her wedding. So if she don't want her in the wedding for whatever reason, that's like in California, I can get fired for whatever. It don't matter what the reason is. No, it's like she don't have to keep giving her reasons. She's giving her reasons. I think it should definitely stop there. Now, the whole comment with Antonia, I don't think that Teresa was trying to blame Antonia. I do agree with y'all on that moment. But I guess hearing that, I guess I don't have kids, but as a mother or a parent, I would probably be on the defense too, because, it's kind of crazy. But like you said, she has, and, Melissa definitely has mentioned her whole kids on that podcast. It don't matter in what regards, because how things could have differed if Melissa would have been like, don't mention my kids in this way. But she's just like, don't leave the kids out of it. Leave the kids out of it. And you and Joe have definitely brought the kids into it. Whether y'all have on a podcast, y'all talked about them. So, the person that is the real villain in this whole scene is Rachel, because she definitely asked the fucking question.
And she asked it to Teresa. That's not something she could have asked her friend, like later on with just.
What is the whole relevancy of that question to talking about men cheating, infidelities, and stuff like that? Like, it didn't even. I mean, what Teresa said was that Joe and Louis were still close, and then she said, "Well, are all the kids close?" Nothing about Teresa's statement talked about Melissa, Joe, Joe and Louis. Nothing about that. So I just feel like she knew what she was doing, to be honest. Just like later on when Jen says that she's very messy and a shit starter, she is. And I mean, hey, it worked out because it created a whole little moment. But Rachel is the true villain here. Like, let's not keep letting her slide through because she know what she's doing. And I would say that. And our world said, why not ask Melissa? Good point. That is very true. That is very true.
And I do want to say, like, I do know of course, it was passive aggressive when Teresa asked Melissa to be in the wedding, but in Melissa's whole viewpoint of if you wanted to just use a good example, you would just put me in the wedding anyway. Teresa tried to do that already, and it was not good enough because of the way it was done. So you got to pick which end you're going to be on when it comes to that, Melissa. Melissa really wanted to be in that wedding. That's really what this all comes down to.
And when Teresa finally said it, her pride wouldn't let her accept at that point.
Yeah. But that's because she had already caused such a fucking scene amongst the girls. Like, she can't go back and say, okay, yeah.
And then what would they fight about? What would be her storyline the rest of the season now?
Yeah, so she had already went too far deep into it.
Reality B says, I think it's interesting how the ladies say leave the kids out of it, but the cast didn't have the same energy for Jackie when Gia's name, when she had Gia's name in her mouth a couple, was it last 2 seasons ago? 2 seasons ago.
A couple of seasons ago.
I think Jackie even mentioned that, how she blew up or whatever. So, but
yeah, when she said that, she said when I mentioned Gia's name, she just went on. You mentioned that her daughter was in a bathroom doing drugs, Jackie. Like, what's up with these lawyers not clicking when they say certain things? Like, what was the correlation? I just said Gia's name. No, you said Gia was an analogy, but doing cocaine.
Behind the statement was to say, well, they were close, but when she could not make, when she could wait to put it would have been like when she could make it to the Sweet 16, Melania felt the way.
That would, yeah.
But I don't think Melissa even gave her the opportunity to get that out the first play because it was a hard no, which I understand both sides. So I don't think she had the intent to hurt her or whatever. But I mean, it turned into something else, and these two are already sitting on guard with each other anyway. So Jackie apologized and said she was wrong, though. I mean, she still did it. And the apology is there, but I mean, you can't.
The apology don't matter.
It took away the impact.
Yeah, but also if she's using it as an example in this moment, it's like the apology don't matter. You can't say, well, she got upset when you already apologized because you know why she was upset. So don't try to use it now to say, well, when I mentioned Gia, she got upset. You already apologized because you knew why you were wrong in that moment.
I love a whole let's not talk about the kids thing. It's so much of that on these damn shows. Ever since Nene, leave the kids out of it now. We're not gonna do that kids thing. Get your team to help you out. All right, well, this gonna come back up, child. This seems to be a big thing. So, did y'all have anything else on this whole topic here?
I'm sick of
it. Yeah. All right. So, Megan said Jackie's so boring. April says Teresa.
Oh, are you gonna bring up when Jackie makes the comment about or is that?
Well, that was right after that. So when they get off the bus, they go shopping, and Jackie brought up, how they was just all flabbergasted. How dare she mention these kids? Oh my God, that was disgusting. It was just like they went in about it. It was just like Jesus, y'all. I mean, she didn't. You would think that this lady said Antonia is a drug slanging whore with cocking them. I mean, they was acting like she just said the worst thing. She just said that she thinks that this incident, when she didn't come to this, was the reason. And Jackie, of course, had her 2 cents. Of course, she gonna mention it because that's her last claim to fame, I think, right? Was when she had that whole argument with Teresa 2 seasons ago. So I don't know.
I just felt Jackie has some balls to say that all I did was say Gia's name and Teresa lost it. Girl, you called that girl a cocoa.
And I just want to say that's one of my favorite Teresa meltdowns.
Me too.
Every time they had to bleep because she was talking, she was cussing that bitch out. And
Marge was scared that day.
I remember that scene. I do remember that. Things happen and people throw apologies, but apologies don't remove what happened. I mean, we have to always think about that. You just be like, okay, I forgive, but I ain't forget. And I mean, her mentioning it lets me know that in her mind, she thinks she did something. She may apologize for it because she knows that it was, especially on reality TV, they apologize because they know the backlash is going to be worse. So they have to apologize. Just like Marge, who's skipping around when she apologized about the whole drug addict, because she know that, I guess, I'm not hearing it back or whatever, that it was like a bad thing to say, like drugs and sexual allegations, all that stuff, you better apologize. If not, we gonna get you. As in the fans. That's just, how it happens. Okay, so they go shopping, and there's a couple of conversations. Marge and Melissa, they're talking about Danielle and just how she is just a shit starter and, talking all this mess. Danielle and Jen are talking about Marge, but, Jen Fessler checks on Teresa. And basically, Jen Fessler and Dolores kind of side with Teresa by saying they know she didn't mean it that way. And Teresa was like, well, shit, won't y'all advocate for me then? Like, go tell her that I didn't mean that, because right now it's causing friction within our relationship. Melissa is just like, well, you know what? I'm about to be like Teresa. I'm about to cut the cancer out too. In other words, she feels like she's about to cut ties with Teresa, which I don't know why she ain't cut ties by now. But hey, any thoughts on these things? There was nothing really happening in this part.
Really. The funniest part to me was when that man told Teresa it was 80 euros. So she was like, what's that in English? I had cackled.
I have issue with that thing.
I had to sit there like, what, huh? What is 80 euros in English? Lord, right? I cannot.
That whole the conversations after the bus, that just goes back to what I was saying about Marge really just being like she's not being with anyone at all. Because if you remember, as soon as they got off the bus, her whole thing was, "How are you, Melissa?" That was a lot. That was hard to bear. This and the third. But when
it was not that hard. But
on the bus, when the argument when Teresa and Melissa were about to start going, Marge was, "Wait, let's stop. We're not helping the family dynamic by keeping this going." But as soon as you get your ass off the bus, are you okay? Because that was a lot. Like Marge is just moving really foul, and I cannot wait to see how Teresa catches her at the reunion when it comes to all this, because you've been in her face and playing like y'all made up and y'all are good. And I think she may be upset because they went and told Danielle that stuff. But say that. Quit acting like you hear from Melissa and Teresa to get better. But as soon as you get Melissa by herself, you pin it back in her head that Teresa's not a good person.
It was just so much. It was just so dramatic how they were carrying out when they were shopping about that. Like it was like, y'all, she didn't even say nothing that bad. I mean, she barely even said her name, and Melissa was already, my child. Like, girl.
The whole thing with Marge is like, as I was saying earlier in our chat, Marge is one of those villains that I can't respect because she don't own it. She does not own what she does. Sisters, I don't do it like that. Like Marge is standing. If Marge stood in it, I would probably stand her.
Yeah, she's being very underhanded with the way she's moving.
Yes.
She's never like that.
Sean S is coming through today, baby. Sean S said, listen, I don't care. I'm telling y'all, this is how I feel. Sean S said she likes Marge, and Teresa was in special ed. She probably was on the short bus. She
confetti. No, I'm just joking.
All right, so then they go to lunch, and at lunch, wasn't a whole lot talking at the lunch, but they did kind of drill into Dolores, and basically we found out that she, is open to marrying Paulie and that she's moved in. They asked her about how her kids and feel on her getting married and stuff like that. And to be honest, Melissa was kind of just bummed out, from this whole conversation on the bus, to where she's just like, I can't even be sitting here right now. I just have to leave. And so, she does leave, and they all decide to leave lunch. And this is when she gets on the phone with Joe. She gets on the phone with Joe, and she talks about everything that happened on the bus. She says that Teresa mentioned Antonia, and how she mentioned her or whatever. And at this moment, she doesn't really want to go to the wedding or whatever. And at this rate, we do know that they don't go. So I guess this is when they decide to plot. But Joe is telling her, no, that's what she wants us to do. She wants us not to come. So we're gonna go to that wedding. At least that's what he says. Any thoughts?
Just to me, the fact that they don't go to the wedding, that's like the first thing I can respect that they actually did, is that they weren't phony and didn't show up, because they're not in a good space. That's part of the one thing they've ever done that I actually have some respect for. Well, that's all I have to say about that. I don't care about her calling Joe.
Only thing I know is when people say that she doesn't have any type of influence over Joe, they need to really pay attention to the show they're watching.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Reality Beast, Joe and Melissa would never go into the wedding. Probably not. It probably was already planned, but I mean, for TV purposes, they had to plan it out. I'm not sure though.
Mm.
I'm happy they didn't go. Yeah, they didn't go. April says Marge owns everything, including her cheating. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but Marge is smart. Marge owns her cheating so that nobody else can use it against her. That's all.
Marge on her cheating because that's what she sold to Bravo to get on this TV show. So she ain't
Yeah.
got no but to own it.
yeah. I'm going to some of the comments because we're actually at the last little part of the last little scene, chat. We didn't zipped on through because there wasn't much else to talk about, to be honest. Sean S says, I think Dolores' reason for not going to the engagement party was BS and Dina not being at the wedding. Do we know like what really happened between them right now? I don't really know. I mean, Dina and the Dina and Dolores thing.
Because I just know that they don't talk because she's still cool with Caroline after Caroline did that stuff with Dina. So they just really at odds behind that.
Okay. Well, in the last scene, after all of that happens, they are sitting down. Were they like at dinner? Where were they at? They were like at dinner.
At the restaurant because Jen Fester's titties have popped the coke.
Yes, they went to the little restaurant that night. And they kind of just talking, they were conversating, as Danielle says. And in casual conversation, Danielle asks Rachel about the bathroom that she's using or whatever, and that if she needs to use the bathroom, she can always come to her bathroom. And Rachel was like, nah, since I'm a rat, I won't be using your bathroom. And then Danielle is just like, I did call you a rat. And Rachel feels like, that Danielle was easily influenced. She feels like she did not form her own opinion. She ran with whatever was told to her. And, Jen is speaking up for Danielle. Jen says that, basically not everybody will think that she was saint. So she's talking to Marge. At this point, they're going back and forth. And they kind of go back and forth. And she's just like, Marge is like, listen, I'm not everything that y'all would make me out to be. And Jen is like, hell, I'm not either. She was like, just like you called me a drug addict. And Marge actually apologizes. Marge is like, you know what? I'm so sorry for that. I was like, okay. And this is an example of things like I feel like they have to apologize for, because some of these things that, can lead to lawsuits depending on what you put out there. So it's good that they do that, because if they ever wanted to try to sue, if Bravo will let them, they have some things they can go off of. I mean, I don't know. But, they're talking about the comments, and Jen calls Marge a booger wolf. And I'm a booger, what is it? Booger wolf?
Booger wolf.
I didn't know what that was. I thought it's something she made up, but apparently it's a very ugly, nasty person. It's giving Ragamuffin 2.0.
It just didn't land.
It didn't land. I'm like, Jen must be smoking some good ass weed, child, because I just don't know what is going on. But a couple things going on over here. Danielle and Rachel were going back and forward. Marge and Jen were going back and forward on their whole thing, and they kind of just end the conversation after the whole Booger Wolf thing, because it doesn't land, as Jen Fester's titties and stuff are coming out and things like that. So, any thoughts on this scene right here?
Well, I mean, Rachel telling Danielle that she didn't form her own opinion of girls is the pot calling the kettle black, because Rachel is definitely influenced by Marge and Jackie. I mean, that's just flat out simple, flat out. Even Fessler a little bit. So that's just.
Fessler was funny in the scene of her little confessional when she was saying how Jennifer was going to the dictionary trying to find a word to call Marge, and when she finally landed on Booger Wolf, that was entertaining to watch. Overall, I think that this episode was just full of a lot of bullshit, kind of like on everybody's end, but more so when it comes to Marge and them gullible ass girls that are following behind her. They showed she showed her colors, really. Even like when they were doing the walking after the little conversation on the bus, Jackie was over there in Teresa's face trying to have the conversation with Teresa and Teresa and Rachel, but then she got back to Melissa. Are you okay? Because that kind of scarred me. I'm scarred. You bitch, you're not scarred. You just want to be a part of the conversation. Y'all want to make sure that y'all keep that divide between Melissa and Teresa. Y'all are just very, very, very clever with the way that you're doing it. You're making it seem like you want to help, but you're taking back bits and pieces that you know are going to just continue to piss the both of them off. And that's so annoying to watch.
I just want Marge. I don't know. I want her to do something for her dry mouth. I know she don't have no saliva. It's so disgusting to see her talk. Ugh, I hate that one.
This whole scene, like I said, I mean, at least in this moment, you know, Danielle and Rachel were able to go back and forth without anyone without Marge getting involved. I don't know how it well, you know, Jen. It became Jen versus Marge because Jen was obviously trying to stick up for her and basically justify, you know, how Danielle was just having a conversation, blah blah blah, and why she would have this arsenal. But I mean, you know, do we know if Marge has an arsenal? I don't know. If the arsenal is what Danielle is baking off of with this whole Melissa thing, that is not an arsenal, honey. You don't even know if that's true. We don't. I don't even think that's true. But I think Melissa.
I don't know. Melissa, she was saying that before she knew that little piece of information. She was already saying that. So no.
All the girls have already said it before, so that's why. They've been saying that before Rachel and Danielle even became a part of the cast. And Jackie said her clueless ass on Watch What Happens Live last night. I said that. I don't remember saying that. You remember saying that, girl. But Marge is sitting right next to you now, so now you gotta act like you don't remember because she gonna go in there arsenal on your ass. It was just. Ugh.
You know, we probably stopped talking to. She may have an arsenal on us. Yeah.
Good luck, bitch.
Good luck. I did. And I don't know if my eyes were mistaken me, but in seeing the preview for the next episode, it looked like Teresa and Melissa were having fun in the mud together and a hand up on the cooch. And
it looked like they're having a good time. Okay, so next week's episode is going to get interesting because poor little Danielle runs off crying from Marge. So apparently she, you know, they get into it again and she tells her that she's going to have a very hard life as it relates to her family moving forward. And Danielle, you know, I don't know. We're not sure of the order. But watching that, how did y'all feel seeing that she gonna storm off crying?
That pissed
me off. I want to see the context. I got to see the whole thing before I form an opinion.
Based on how they edited it, it pissed me off because she started off going in and all of a sudden she's in the bathroom crying. Like, fight Marge ass back. She don't got a relationship with her kids and y'all been doing this. But she's steady going at y'all family when she's
talking about saying, do Marge got family?
Get her ass.
Marge Senior.
That's when I just throw out everything. This way, oh, my family. Well, let's talk about you talking about Melissa kissing in the back of the truck, bitch.
Let's talk about how your stepkids,
you gotta throw something out. You gotta go like,
kids don't want to be.
You gotta win me.
Don't want to be nowhere near you.
Child. Well, listen.
Marge is such an easy read. I don't understand how they don't get her.
And they just let her skate by. But they scared of that arsenal. I tell her them thin ass pigtails up. They need to get Marge.
She looks so horrible on Watch What Happens Live.
Ugh.
She just looked dried out, like she was
at a PTA meeting.
Little dehydrated. That's all.
She used to be my girl, but she became so just late the way she moved.
I can say I'm proud to say I never liked her.
I used to love Marge.
But I'm curious. I want to see the whole context of everything. You know, just what happens and with that because I mean, my thing is Marge. To be honest, like I mean, who are you to say that she's going to have a very difficult time or what was the exact thing she said? It was
she's going to
have problems with her family her whole life. And I'm like, honestly, Marge, you are having problems with your family your whole life too. So maybe that's why she's speaking that way because she knows what it's like. And Jackie, you know what it's like, and everybody else in the cast kind of know what it's like in a sense. So maybe she's right. Maybe she would have problems with her whole life with her family. But girl, Danielle, I'm tired of you running off, girl. I'm sick of it. Now I still enjoy her, but we do know that she gets Marge really mad at the end. So maybe it's gonna take to the
and she don't back down,
huh?
And she don't back down.
Yeah, she don't at the end, but I guess she gotta build up that fight because right now, baby, she's losing this fight. She's running away, and I'm sick of it. Then having problems with her brother her whole life. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
And that probably is a sensitive subject. I mean, it is,
It's probably a sensitive thing, but I mean, it shouldn't be no more sensitive than her talking about it, to be honest. I mean, you would think that she went in her arsenal and says, you're going to have problems because your brother told me he hates you. I mean, she didn't say, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. She just basically said, You gonna have problems, bitch. Like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have problems. What else? I don't
like, and who really cares? Like, when it comes to them, why do you value what she says so much? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, why does
her
that hit you
character's
so
not
hard?
clean. She don't make the best decision. She cheated on her man, and she done bought Fezler cheating ass on the show. Everybody she hang with, you just hang with a bunch of cheating ass girls. Melissa, like, why y'all care so much about Marge? I mean, in her opinions, she clearly don't have the best track record.
And you know, in the comments, they keep saying that Rachel don't back down. When have we had an argument between Rachel and Danielle, or Rachel and anybody, that Marge did not take over? We have not.
I am annoyed with Danielle storming off, but I'm not gonna hype up Rachel as if she has just rose to the occasion. I mean, she stands in what she said. She's very much so.
Because people are around,
and I think Rachel. But Danielle, she stands in what she says too. It's just that when it gets a little heated, sometimes she storms off. I mean, Rachel stands up against Danielle, but against, I mean,
because she knows Marge is going to jump in. Marge has jumped in every single time.
I'm not going to hype up Rachel. Like, she ain't doing anything different than Danielle. She just has. I guess
when it was just Rachel and Danielle after Marge the first time. Are we still good? Are we good? Are we good? And Rachel's like, I don't. Dana's like, I don't know.
Not even that. When it was Rachel and Jen ran her ass about the barbecue when she was
with
Teresa.
Rachel ran too.
At this point, they like this to me. I enjoy Danielle's personality better, but in terms of like who's performing on the level of she can go at it on Housewives, they just right there. Rachel may not be running for real, but she running back behind.
She's done it too. She just Danielle has done it more. Rachel left that barbecue so fast. Jen ran her dumb ass out of there.
I think, and I know that Danielle has run a lot. I do think Danielle is a tough cookie. I just think that I think she's way tougher than Rachel. Now, I'm just saying that we ain't seen it yet, but the way that Rachel got mad by being called, she called an asshole. What was she called?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's always more than one on Danielle. It's never been more than one on Rachel.
And Danielle may be one of them girls where she's not just like a hothead like the rest of them. Like, it's gonna take her a minute, like keep pushing her buttons.
I very agree. One of them. Our world says they attacked Danielle. The Lord had to tell them let her speak. That's very true. It is always multiple people on her when she can't even get a word out. So y'all just mad, y'all just mad. Y'all just don't like Teresa, and y'all know
that's what that is.
That's what Jen has handled Rachel multiple times. Jen has handled Rachel multiple times.
April and Sean, yes, I see y'all.
No, it's same person, one keyboard, one on the
iPad. All right, listen. I put the link in the chat. I put it in again. We for some callers today. I want to get y'all thoughts. Sean S. or April, I actually would love to hear you guys' opinions on the actual call, just because I want to, I like a difference of opinions, and I see that you guys really like Marge and Rachel. So I always want
to tell us why
different opinions. We all have different opinions too, but in this case, we just kind of all feel the same. We ain't really feeling them like that. But I put the link in the chat. It's easy, free to call in. You can just do an audio, you can do video. It's up to you. But please call in. I want to hear y'all thoughts. Specifically, I mean, anybody can call in, but April and Sean, since y'all have been the most vocal today, I want to hear y'all thoughts. So call in for us, okay? But until then, we do have one of our very own in the queue, and it is going to be, is it Pepsi or is it Chase? Or is it Sprite? Which one is it?
Diet Coke.
It's Diet Coke. Okay.
Is that a fat joke?
Oh, bitch.
Wait a minute.
Going there. I ain't even say nothing.
Wait a minute. What's up, Dad? Wait a minute. It be your own girls. How y'all doing?
What's going on, Chase? How you doing?
Y'all look good. I'm all right. Thank you, my sweet baby.
I saw you swinging in the comments at people, Chase.
Huh?
I saw you swinging in the comments.
Well, I just want to. What I would like to see is Sean S. and what's the other person's name?
April.
I want them to call in at the same time so we can just make sure they're not the same person.
Well, Sean S. is in the queue right now, so Sean S.
Okay. Well, come on out,
Sean.
Come on, April in the room. Come on in the room.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be too long. I just want to say that I don't like Marge. I said that a long time ago. I don't like Jackie. I said that a long time ago. And I've never liked Melissa. It's never going to change. It's never going to change. They scared of that lady. Whatever that lady got on them, They just need to go ahead and admit it so they can get from up under her ass. Because it is really, 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 really disturbing me at this point, to the point where y'all know how I get. When I get fed up now, I just ain't watching it no more. I can't take it no more. I hate them. So I just wanted to put it out there before the girls who love them get on the stage. I don't like them, and that's what that is. And I really called in to clarify, because you guys were talking about Dina and Dolores. And so the story allegedly now, that you guys know that Dina and her husband were attacked in her home a couple of years ago.
Oh.
And it came out that the person allegedly who attacked Dina and her husband physically in their home was sent by Dina's ex-husband. Now, Dina's ex-husband's brother is, yeah. my picture ain't on either, because I want to do it.
No, I had to. I had to turn my.
Messy. You know what? It's messy.
My ring light down. It was too bright.
No, it's okay. Well, Dina's ex-husband is actual blood brothers with Caroline's husband, right?
Uh-huh.
So when everything was shaken out and the charges and all that stuff or whatever, allegedly Dolores wrote a character statement supporting Caroline's husband's brother, which is Dina's ex-husband. So that's why Dina wants nothing to do with Dolores. And initially, the wedding was not supposed to be filmed. Teresa didn't want it to be filmed. So Dina was in the wedding. And when Teresa decided to film it, Dina dropped out because of all of the stuff that happened. She no longer wants to be on television. And she just wants to live a low-key private life after they allegedly broke into her home and assaulted them. So that is why, once she dropped out, then she invited Dolores and Jen to be in the wedding.
All alleged.
That's what the people say. I don't have nothing to do with it. I don't know these white people. I don't know them.
You ain't got your face on here. So y'all
go holler at Pepsi in Thailand. That's not me. All right, bye.
All right, Chase. Okay, our caller is going to be Sean S. Welcome. Is this your first time calling in or no?
Yes.
Hey, Sean.
Hey.
How are you?
I am great. And the reason why I love Marge, she can own her stuff. Okay. She tells the truth before anybody else can spread it. Every housewife on every level has an arsenal. Just like y'all get information, they get information as well.
Oh, I ain't got no information. I don't know nothing.
Okay. A lot of these bloggers get information and just sit on it.
No,
Marge should have owned having an arsenal, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Because she's not owning that. She owned it last
night.
No,
it's not called an arsenal. Everybody get the same information. Just like they DM Jen, they DM Teresa, they DM everybody else. Just like what's Karen knew that she was what's the name was cheating, Dwan was cheating. Everybody got the same information.
But why is Marge not owning that she has that information?
It's not an arsenal. Everybody has it. She knows she said where they live. She said where they live is small. And so everybody knows information. So
but I will say sometimes these housewives, they that whole statement, it's a small town. It reminds me of Marisol, how she was it last season on Miami? She kept talking about how Miami was so small, she knew everything. And it's just like sometimes, just like Potomac has proven, they get these things from DMs and stuff like that. It's not always credible. I feel like sometimes it can be, it's a small town, I hear things, but sometimes it's he say, she say from a DM, or people, it's just, these little chatty blogs, because there are blogs that put out stuff, media takeout, that don't even be real. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So, I think sometimes it's an arsenal, but an arsenal to me is what's facts. And I don't think all this stuff be fact. It'd be like little bits of
just like Teresa blaming Marge for the stuff that came out about her man. Them women was putting that out there in the blogs. She just repeated it, but that wasn't her fault. And just like Jen should have been quiet because she knew she had skeletons in her closet, instead of picking at Marge, she wouldn't have never said nothing, even though she almost said something 2 seasons before. but stopped herself. But Jen kept going, and that's why she stung her.
Well, I'm just
Look, y'all ain't got nothing to say. Everybody got. Everybody got information.
You got the floor. I'm just letting you speak.
Yeah. I'm just saying, to quote you when you came out here, you were the one who called you were the one who called it an arsenal. Those were your words when you came out. You said every housewife has an arsenal. Those were your words.
I'm just using the same word that everybody else, but all the housewives get dirt on each other. Some people just save it in their pocket to the right moment and spray people with it.
Marge needs to own that she's the villain. She don't own that.
So if in this case, since you say it's not called an arsenal and she has whatever you want to call it, so that means
info.
That means Danielle is right then that she has info.
But Teresa has info. Jen has info. Every housewife has info. That's how Teresa came and said Jackie husband was cheating.
We know they all got info, but we talking about Marge because that's who they talking about right now. And she's saying, "Do you think I have an arsenal?" As if she don't really have anything on anybody.
But see, Marge should just say, "All of us have arsenals." Then that would stop it all.
Or her and Teresa already had that conversation, and Teresa was like, "Yeah, but you're different with your information." They've all said that, even more.
Oh, but Teresa really backtracked that conversation. She know exactly what she was doing. Yeah. She got all scared and backtracked because she know Louis got more dirt out there than
Arsenal. Jackie backtracked it too, saying that Marge has arsenal and don't want to be an enemy.
She got something in her pocket that
hell, Marge said it the damn self. It's her whole tagline. I'm a loyal friend, but a lethal enemy. Marge is full of shit.
I'm tired of the Arsenal talk. Let's all bring our Arsenal.
You tired of that word?
I'm sick of it. Okay, you got anything else for us, Sean?
And I do believe Teresa trying to blame Antonia for not coming to that party. Like she shouldn't even have brought that up, period. She needs media training to learn how to answer questions that she don't want to answer and just say, I have nothing to say, or we not talking about the kids, or I ain't got nothing to do with that.
This is not an interview for TRL. This is a bus conversation. I mean, she got
what you want. If she know it's gonna cause an argument, if she's supposed to love her brother, she should just say, I'm not even going to speak on it.
No, Rachel should not ask that goddamn question.
Anybody can ask you a question. You got to learn how to answer it or not answer.
She said, Sean, I'm going to say this too. When you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it honestly. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, what I may say in my mouth, you may not like, but if you ask me a question and if that's how she feels, you want her just to, I mean, what you want her to just be like, no answer. It's not an interview.
But see, this the thing. Teresa don't care about nobody else's feelings, only but hers and her kids, and she teaching her kids the same thing. But just like she taught her kids how to talk about Melissa and Joe when they were 5 years old. She never stopped them. They talked about them in front of them kids, and then she never thought about what Antonio, little Joey, and whatever the other one named Melissa's kids, how they feel about them talking about their parents. Mm-hmm. She never thought about that. She don't care about that. She only cares about what her kids. You can't talk about Juicy Joe, but he talking about their daddy and their family.
Sean,
you got to think about it that way too.
I want you to call in all the time. I am enjoying this conversation.
And I think she has a point, but I think we also cannot negate that not only has the conversations that they've had in front of those girls, these girls have been there experiencing, watching Joe and Melissa play with their parents as well. So that's probably why they have so much.
You know what? Let's just think about
but this started when they was tiny kids. And they was talking about how Melissa looked like a horsey face.
Joe and Melissa calling Teresa a trash ass bitch. So I mean, from the beginning of Joe and Melissa being on the show, that's all them girls have known.
These kids are seeing a lot, they're hearing a lot, and I think even though they're kids, I think it's totally realistic for Milani to feel a way about her cousin not coming to her damn thing. I mean, that's you know what I'm saying. Like, I think that's a feeling. So,
but Melania has cheer practice in all them competitions the way that she do, and she knows she can't miss that stuff.
No, you don't know that as a kid.
None of that would be a problem anyway if Melissa didn't force that goddamn girl to be a cheerleader when she didn't want to in the first goddamn.
No, she wanted to be a cheerleader. She just didn't want to move school.
So Sean, let me ask you this: how come when Jackie pretty much repeated the rumor that accused G of being a cokehead,
that was an analogy.
Oh hell no! You gotta go.
But the thing is, she was making a point. She was making a point. If anybody, Jackie was making a point. If anybody say anything about Teresa's kids, she will go off. She don't think about.
So hold on, Sean. So it's the same as saying a kid.
It was a bad analogy.
So she was wrong.
She was dead, okay?
She was wrong. She could have used some other type of thing to say instead of drugs. She could have used something else.
But you're giving an excuse right now for what Danielle said about cocaine versus saying Teresa need to learn her better words for doggone cheer practice.
And Jackie,
they don't equate. It ain't the same. Thank y'all.
Jackie is a lawyer.
It's been real.
Oh,
but you know what, Sean? I like how you stand.
I have enjoyed this though. I really enjoy when people get on and they go, especially when we all agree. I love it. But you have some valid points. But that analogy thing, you gotta go.
Yeah, that was wrong.
You handled yourself very well, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you
very much.
Better than Marge and Jackie.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, y'all. I really enjoyed that. Our world says Sean S is a trip. I agree. Sean S came through. Who was that last week that was coming through the chat? No, that was Ultimate Girls Trip. Who was that? I don't know who it was. It was somebody. But nonetheless, thank y'all for watching.
I know April ain't talking.
What April say?
We got the capes on hard for Teresa. Hers have a Melissa and Marge on it. Eminem.
I ain't got it.
You guys must know that I actually am a Marge fan, to be honest. However, over the last 2 seasons,
you're realistic.
I mean, I haven't been able to really get with Marge like I used to. If you go back to last season and you see those recaps, I was like, okay, Marge, and I was like, okay, Marge, okay, and I had to get off of that train because it wasn't excelling in the way that I wanted to. So please know that it's no bias here, but if you feel that way, I'm sorry. All right, y'all. Well, listen, we're about to get out of here. I want y'all to make sure y'all like this video and subscribe. I did say last week on Ultimate Girl Show we was gonna start doing like a viewer of the day or the show, and it's usually the person that is like the most active in the chat, and that person is gonna go to Sean S. Actually, not because she called in, but because from the gun I was like, oh, she came out swinging. So
with her arsenal,
Sean S. She ain't give a damn about what we had to say.
You said what?
She ain't give a damn about what we had to say.
Sean came in with her arsenal.
She, Sean S. got an arsenal on us actually.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And shout out to everybody that's in the chat. April, you have been. I almost thought you. I still feel like April and Sean S are the same person, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Not Chase said me. No, Chase, you don't qualify this time, baby. I'm the viewer of the night. No, Chase, no, baby.
It don't work.
You are the host of the month. But he ain't no shows right now anyway. So anyway, make sure y'all like this video, subscribe. Tomorrow is the finale for Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. It's also Chad and Jasmine's birthday on 4/20. So don't be coming up here all high and stuff. I mean, y'all do what y'all want to do, but I ain't doing that stuff because I don't do that, even in California. But like this video, subscribe. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Chase, for calling in. Thank you, Danny and Sammy. And we will see you guys tomorrow for the finale of Ultimate Girls Trip. Y'all have a good night and peace.
Good night.